Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Happy spooky season, happy Halloween, and today we are doing our 13th spooky book of October, which is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. So this book I read the first time when I was 19 years old, and it scared the dickens out of me. I read it over the course of 4 nights, because I was still in school, and so I was reading it to fall asleep, which was a bad idea. I was 19. And I didn't sleep for 6 nights. The 4 nights it took me to read the book, plus 2 additional nights, I did not sleep because this book scared me so bad. A little bit of backstory about me. When I was a kid, the scariest thing on the planet to me was vampires. Like, my brother and I were home one day and, like, we were flipping through the channels and we thought we found, like, I don't know, like a Sherlock Holmes movie or something. It turned out it was Interview with a Vampire, and the scene where after he eats the dead lady and, like, it just, vampires terrified me ever since Interview with a Vampire came out. I saw scenes of it when I was way, 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 way too young. And it stuck with me. I was even scared of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I wasn't scared of Twilight. Twilight kind of broke me of my fear of vampires, thankfully, because that would have been embarrassing. But yeah, vampires for many years until I discovered existential dread were my biggest fear growing up. So let's get into Salem's Lot. So this book came out in 1975. It's one of his books about a writer, which, as you know, Stephen King, when he writes about writers, it never goes well. He does not treat them well. They always have horrible endings and horrible things happen to them, and they're just, I mean, misery, desperation, The Shining, Salem's Lot, like, Secret Window, Secret Garden, like, that was a short story, but still, he does not treat writers well in his stories, and it makes me just a little bit sad for him because what are you doing, man? Give yourself a little bit of love. Give yourself a pat on the back. Like, anyway, our main character, Ben Mears, returns to the Lot, which is what they call Salem's Lot. It's short for Jerusalem's Lot, and it's named after a pig, a little bit of backstory within the story, to write a book about an old abandoned house, which he comes back to town and realizes that the house has been taken over by a mysterious immigrant and his business partner that are on an extended antiques buying trip, but you only ever see the business partner. Blah, 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 vampires. And they take over the town, and they're bloodthirsty, and they're evil, and we're not talking, like, twinkle twinkle Twilight vampires. We're talking about these scary, like, sunlight doesn't quite defeat them, it just slightly weakens them kind of vampires. Like, the full-on, I actually read Dracula, and vampires are terrifying kind of vampires. Think the scene in the book where he's walking around Piccadilly Circus in the middle of the afternoon and he's fine. Yeah, that's the kind of vampires we're dealing with. They are evil. They are evil incarnate. There is nothing more evil. I don't want to get into too much of the story because it's one of those Stephen King stories that's so interconnected in on itself that if I tell any one part of the story, I ruin the whole story. Let's talk about themes, because for me, this one gave my brain a lot to chew on. Like, this is one of those thinking horror novels, which are the best kind of horror novels, I think. This one was, for me, it's about belief and belief systems, and it feels like he's trying to tell you that you have to believe in something, because there's moments where this character's beliefs are challenged and they falter and they're doomed forever in that one dark moment of doubt has doomed them for all time, and there's no coming back from that. Like, and the people who hold strong to their faith and their belief, whatever it may be in, are able to pull together and to take on this unspeakable evil and this unspeakable terror that's raining down on their town. It's a slightly ambiguous ending. It's one of those where it's not just bleak, it's bleak and it's sad, but it's one of those where the ending, it wasn't, it's the ending the story had to have. Like, there's no way the story is going to have a Sunshine and Daisies kind of ending. There's no way you can possibly have Sunshine and Daisies in Salem's Lot. Like, there's too many vampires, there's too much evil, there's too much corruption and darkness to ever see the sun again. So they come back and they do what they've got to do, and they hope it's enough. They just hope it's enough. There is a short story that takes place after this. It's kind of a follow-up to it that kind of goes into the aftermath of what happens in the ending and kind of revisits it. And it's like, I read that one not realizing that it was a follow-up to this. I thought it was like a prequel or like what this novel was based on, because a lot of his, like, there's a short story that goes with it. And I was terrified all over again. The short story is called Jerusalem's Lot. It was published in the 1978 collection Night Shift. It's also featured in the illustrated 2005 edition of Salem's Lot. It's another character in letters addressed to Bones describes himself as the manservant of it. Again, it's terrifying and it's creepy and it's delightfully creepy and delightfully macabre, and Salem's Lot, truly terrifying. Have you read it? Like, do you like Stephen King? I assume you like some sort of horror since you're here. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you had a great spooky season. Bye!